go. Let's see if I can go ahead and spotlight myself, and hopefully that means that they'll just see me. So if this takes a little bit longer than usual to coordinate, it's because I blissfully have not been on Zoom for quite a while. But the goal of tonight is to just give you guys a general idea of what tour is going to look like, what to expect as far as the actual tour itself leading up to the tour, payment plans, and then I will absolutely get to any questions that you might have at the end of this presentation, which I think is the main purpose of something like this. So do not hesitate. I do ask that you hold on to any questions that you might have until the end, just because I will likely answer a number of them as we go along. But I will be here as long as need be afterwards to answer any questions that you might have. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Make sure I got the right one. So I sent out in an email today, there we go, in an email today to all of you, also on Schoology, a link to this particular Google Drive file. This has all of the documents that I've sent home with the students. And this is also where I'm going to continue to upload documents as they come around. We are expecting a more up-to-date itinerary at some point. The timeline of these sorts of things is a lot of the things such as hotel rooms and things like that, our tour company doesn't want to book until we've got a contract signed, and it's hard to get a contract signed until I get everything. There's just a lot of things that sort of happen at once. So I appreciate your patience with that. But what I want to start with today actually is sort of the itinerary. Well, let me actually first talk about ACFEA. ACFEA is a tour company that we have partnered with in the past. I've been working with them for almost a decade at this point. This ACFEA is a company that specializes in running tours for music groups. They're the group that Pacific Chorale tours with. It's the group that Cal State Fullerton toured with when I toured with them. And it's also the company that has done all of our international tours to date. We worked with them when we went to France in 2014, I want to say. No, 2015, 2016, whenever it happened to be. We went with them to France. We went with them to Central Europe, which I think at this point, Tom Eastman is the only one who remembers that particular tour. That was a fantastic tour. And they were the organization that we were using to prepare our tour to the British Isles, Scotland, and Wales for competing in the Eisteddfod. And we are thrilled to have them working with us again on our trip to Spain and Catalonia. They are phenomenal at knowing what ensembles need. They know how to book venues that are rewarding to sing in. They know what ensembles need as far as preparation time ahead of time, preparation backstage, green rooms, and they are also incredibly good at drawing crowds to all of these concerts. When we were in Central Europe, we did a concert in Olomouc in the Czech Republic on a Wednesday night, and they managed to get 300 people out to see a high school choir from California on a Wednesday night. And that I find absolutely astonishing. So they, in addition to preparing concerts and things, they also make sure that they have a tour guide with us at all times that speak both English and the native languages that we're going to be needing to speak, primarily Spanish, though there'll be Catalan in there as well. And they are just absolute wizards at personal connection, and any questions or concerns that you guys might have about the tour. They are wonderful and receptive, and I will give you their contact information following this meeting if you have any specific questions for them. I know there's already some families that have reached out to them about specific needs, dietary restrictions, things like that. So now that we've sort of talked about that, what I want to do I want to do sort of a rundown of the itinerary. I put together a little bit of a photo collage to show you.
Oh, it's muted.
To show you some of the places that we're going to be visiting. Hold on, let me make sure. Forget how to mute everybody. Hold on. Somebody is speaking at the moment. Okay, looks like we're okay. I put together sort of a photo collage of some of the places that we're going to be visiting. The ultimate itinerary is a part of this packet that's here, and they show you sort of a step-by-step. But just to give you a taste of some of the things that we're going to see. Also, I apologize, this is not my forte. I never do PowerPoint. That just seemed like the best solution for what we're doing right now. So if this is completely artless, I apologize in advance. All right, so first, we're going to start off in Madrid, which is the capital of Spain. I will say that I personally have been to Barcelona and Catalonia several times. I've not been to Madrid. I don't know entirely what to expect in Madrid, but I do know that there's a lot of culture there. As the capital of Spain, there's a lot of history, and I'm sure that it will, again, included in our tour package is a guided tour and also free time for our students to explore on their own. One of the things that ACFEA and I both believe in is allowing time for students to explore the cities that we go and visit in a safe manner. Never alone, they're always encouraged to go out in groups, but that time in small groups to really explore just gives you a better sense of what the actual city is, rather than going just as a large tour group. And we will go through expectations, you know, how to make sure that your possessions are safe, things like that. It's a really important but exciting learning process for them. We are going to be doing a concert. They proposed a concert in the Iglesia de Madres Mercedarias de Don Juan de Alarcón, which is a church in Madrid. So this is where they're proposing doing our first concert when we get there. I will say that most of the concert venues that we are going to see in Europe, whenever we go to Europe, are largely churches. You know, choir is a Western Christian religion, Christian practice originally, and then it has since expanded out to be more secular and things like that. But still, a lot of the best venues for performances still are churches. And honestly, for a lot of the songs that we're doing, they have the absolute best acoustics for the music that we're going to do. So I'm really excited for the opportunity to give the madrigal singers a chance to sing the music that we're doing in the acoustic that it was intended. One of the first songs we did this year was Victoria's Oman Mysterium, and Victoria was a Spanish composer from the Renaissance. And this is the sort of acoustic that you would be listening to. Even though this is a Baroque church, that's the sort of environment that sort of music would be performed in. Our second stop is a city called Zaragoza, which is, as you can see on a river, some really beautiful architecture there. It's the capital city of the Zaragoza province and of the autonomous community of Aragon, Spain. You hear about the kingdom of Aragon and things like that. That's sort of part of this area's history. Spain is actually made up of a lot of smaller communities. We think of Spain as an entity when we're over here, but you've got the Basque region, you've got Catalonia, you've got Aragon, you've got lots of different areas that make up Spain, all with their own unique cultures. And now really interesting history regarding the Francisco Franco era in the early 20th century when he was trying to unify it. Now that we are past in the post Francisco Franco area, a lot of these communities are really reinvesting in their own local community, their local culture. And you'll see that a lot in Barcelona when you get there. I'm sure you'll see it in Madrid and Zaragoza as well. But again, much more familiar with Barcelona personally. In the Zaragoza, where they're proposing a concert in the Iglesia San Gil Abad, another beautiful venue for us to perform in. And then we're going to make our way to Barcelona, which is where we're going to be spending the majority of our tour. We have been accepted into the International Choral Festival of Barcelona, which is going to be makes it so we can stay 2 nights longer for the same cost. So it'll be a 10-day trip instead of an 8-day trip, which is fantastic. But 2, also means that we are going to be interacting from choirs likely from around Europe, doing workshops with them, having joint performances. It's going to be a really, really wonderful opportunity to connect with people from around the world who speak our universal language of music. Barcelona is also the home of one of my favorite architects in the world, which is Antoni Gaudi. If you've ever been down to Balboa Park down in San Diego, you'll see some of this sort of mosaic style artwork, and that's because the people who designed that mosaic style artwork were influenced by Antoni Gaudi. So I think there was even one that was actually a student of Gaudi and then went to San Diego to do that work. But just some absolutely stunning sort of organic architecture that I just absolutely love. And the most stunning of all, probably one of the most incredible buildings in the world, in my opinion, is Sagrada Familia. Sagrada Familia is a cathedral that was designed and begun, the construction was begun by Antoni Gaudi. It is absolutely stunning on both the outside and the inside. And it's still under construction. The groundbreaking was in 1882, and they are projecting that it's likely going to be finally finished within the next 10 years. They're just working on some of the final spires up at the top, which is really incredible to have the opportunity to see a piece of history be constructed. We think of cathedrals largely as these like static things. They're there already, but this is something that's been in construction for over 100 years at this point, 130 years. And as a part of our festival, we actually get to do a short performance in this venue, which is a personal bucket list item for me. It is something that I am beyond excited for, because this is the one site that every time I go back to Barcelona, I have to go and see, because it is just absolutely stunning, and it changes every time because it's still under construction. So you can certainly find more incredibly compelling pictures than the ones I put up here, but do yourself a favor, look up Antoni Gaudi's work and just be absolutely astounded by just like the fairy book nature of some of the things that he has done. He's a really visionary architect. In addition to having 6 days in Barcelona, where they're going to be putting us up in a hostel that is surrounded by gardens and with the other choirs, we're also going to be able to do some day trips out and around the city. Oh, before we do that, I think the next one is actually, yeah, the Palau de la Música Catalana. Catalonia is a very vibrant area of Spain, of northeastern Spain. They really are. My friends that are out there are very pro Catalonia. I don't know if you've been following the news. There's actually been some movements to try and allow Catalonia to declare its independence, and that's been a thing. That's you'll get immersed in some of that history and some of that really present day drama that's going on. But the Catalonian people are really passionate about their culture and their language and things like that. This is the Palau de Catalonia, de Música de Catalonia. I've had a chance to attend a concert in this. It was really wonderful. And this is where our closing performance as part of the festival is going to be. So another really beautiful, stunning venue for us to perform in. One of the day ventures that we're going to go on is to a nearby mountain that's called Montserrat. Montserrat, as you can see, does not look like a normal mountain. It's got really unique style of rock work that's there. And that's because the Montserrat at one point was actually at the bottom of an ocean, and then it got thrust up into the sky through tectonic movement and things like that. And that creates a lot of the really unique landscape that you see in front of you. And because of its unique shape, it was actually chosen hundreds of years ago as a site for a monastery, and there's a long history of boys choirs performing in the church that's up there. So we're going to be taking a day trip out to Montserrat, which also provides just absolutely stunning vistas of the surrounding countryside. And then we're also going to be visiting a small series of towns. This is where my friends actually live. This is in Purrej in Gironella. We're going to be doing a short exchange with a choir called Polifonica, which is based out there. And that's a choir that, as I mentioned, I personally have ties to. My connection to Catalonia actually goes back to before I was at CDM. I attended a festival in Mexico where Polifonica was there alongside the Men in Black, which is the men's ensemble that I sing with. And we were all put up in the same hotel, and we just had an incredible time getting to know each other. I really formed a lifelong bond with a series of several of the people that were part of that ensemble. So I am so excited to share the work that I do and to bring all of you guys out to them to see sort of to share that work with them and to share in music with them. As you can see, these pictures are mine. You can't find a lot of pictures for Purrej online because it is a small town. These are small towns of maybe 1,000 people, 2,000 people that are there. And you can see that just surrounded by beautiful countryside and just some of the warmest and most wonderful people that I have ever met. The language barrier, by the way, is not too bad. Just about everybody of my generation and younger speaks 3 languages to some extent. Catalonian is usually their first language, or Catalan. They all speak Spanish, and most of them speak English. The older generation speak Catalan, Spanish, and French for the most part due to the proximity to France. But if you speak any sort of Spanish, we have several people who speak Spanish fluently. You just latch onto one of them and they'll be fine. I will also say that in the major metropolises that will be in, so Barcelona, I can almost guarantee that most people there are going to speak English. That being said, it is a great opportunity to practice your Spanish. If you'd like to practice your Spanish, do not feel ashamed by trying to adapt to the Castilian style Spanish rather than sort of our Latin American Spanish that we learn here. You know, dabble with vosotros as a what is that, preposition or whatever it happens to be, whatever the word is, you know what I mean. But just a really, really wonderful people. So that is my short sort of like visual slideshow for what we're going on. So we'll go back to the itinerary. We leave on Wednesday, June 29th. I know there's not a lot of details that are on this, especially for the festival portion of it. We have just been accepted into the festival and they're going to be giving me more information. Their application process actually ended just a couple days ago. It was due by January 15th. So they're going to be supplying us with additional information of our schedule and things like that. But really excited to work with them. And then the other parts of these, as far as the hotels that we're going to be staying in and the concert venues and things like that, now that we have signed our contract and we're sending in our payments, those are going to get solidified. And so when I have a more complete itinerary, I will share that with you. But as I mentioned, we're going to be leaving Wednesday, June 29th, and returning on Sunday, July 10th. So 10 days there with a day of travel on either side. We will also, prior to leaving for this tour, in the week leading up to it, I believe it's Thursday through Saturday, we are going to be doing rehearsals every day just to make sure that we're ready. And then we're going to be doing a pre-tour concert on that Monday, June 27th at Our Lady Queen of Angels. So those of you guys who are not joining us on the trip will be able to hear the work that we are doing, enjoy the repertoire that we have spent the entire year preparing in what is also a beautiful space. And we'll be professionally recording that performance as well. So that is the meat of what we are doing. Hopefully you are as tantalized and as excited as I am, because I'm very, very excited about this trip. Spain, as I mentioned, I've been to Barcelona several times to spend time with my friends. I've taken my family out there, and I love, it's one of my favorite places in the world. So I'm really excited to take all of you there. So there are two ways that we are going to, oh, and here's the program for those of you guys. I know we have a couple alumni watching. I will be sharing all of this, the sheet music and learning tracks with you, but this is what our tour program is going to look like. This is a mix of old music and new music for us, but overall, I think it's going to be a really, really fun and exciting tour program. Lots of American music, whether that's American folk music or African-American spirituals, and also a couple of Mexican folk songs in there. Excited to share our Spanish speaking heritage with them, things like that, plus a number of pieces by American composers. So I think something that's going to be a really exciting program to share with people from across the world. So let's see. Okay, so there are two possible ways that this is working for, depending on whether or not your child is graduating this year or not. The reason why there is a distinguishment between people who are graduating and people who are not graduating or alumni is because Newport Mesa Unified School District only wants to be made aware of students that are currently enrolled at NMUSD. And your students who are graduating technically are not going to be a part of NMUSD at that point. However, this is the way that our program has, our tours during the summer have always worked. Our alumni and our graduates, rather than touring as a member of the Corona Del Mar High School Madrigal Singers, they'll be touring as a part of the Crown of the Sea Concert Choir, and their itinerary will be exactly the same as the Madrigal Singers. The only noticeable difference between the preparation for the tour for non-graduates and the tour for graduates is graduates are going to be making their payments directly to ACFBA rather than making them to CDM Vocal Music. As I mentioned, it's an arrangement that we've worked with for years. Kathy Scott, when she was our principal, signed off on it. I've already talked to Josh Hill about it. He's completely fine with it. He knows that I have a really strong relationship of trust with our graduates, and so because of that, they have signed away, and they've said that yes, this is fine for you to take recent recent graduates and alumni along on these tours as well. And another important point to make is that at this time of, I mean, it might change by summer, but I anticipate it. As of right now, the European Union requires that all incoming travelers be fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Unvaccinated participants will unfortunately not be able to go. That's just the European Union system. Right now, I believe their definition of fully vaccinated is two shots of an mRNA or one shot of the J&J. By the summer, that might be adjusted to include boosters. The situation is fluid, as I'm sure you are all incredibly aware.
Hey, Mr. Ball.
Yes.
So just a heads up. So our daughter actually went and landed in Madrid today.
Mm-hmm.
She's doing her semester abroad. She's fully vaccinated and boosted, and they still held her in the airport and made her get a COVID test before she was allowed to leave the airport. And that was not something we were expecting based on all of the information we had looked up. So just a heads up about that.
I appreciate that. And that might be just a precaution right now because of Omicron. Fortunately, people more knowledgeable than I am have said that nationally in our country, Omicron is likely to peak within the next week and hopefully come down. Fingers crossed that there won't be another variant that pops up this summer. One of the things we are going to be talking about is tour insurance, which I think is going to be really critical for this particular tour, just in case something should happen. But I'll get to that at the end. Right now, still continuing my policy of everything's happening until it's not. But I do want you to know that I'm not flying blind as far as the situation on the ground here. But thank you for that insight. I appreciate it. One thing that you should know as alumni or graduates, even though it's true that some of the people who are graduating are going to be of age in Europe to purchase alcohol because that age range is 18, I am actually going to be holding everybody to the legal laws that are here in the United States. I am going to make sure, and for our alumni that might be coming along, I just need you to respect the fact that this is a tour that I'm doing with some of the people who are underaged. And even if you were to continue your tour on and stay in Europe past our trip, at which point you can do whatever you want during the duration of our tour, it's really important to me that we hold ourselves to the same legal situations that we have here on the ground in the United States. There's a little bit more specific information on how checks will be made out if you have graduated already. The checks are going to be made out to ACFEA Tour Consultants, Inc. And you can either send them in, bring them to me personally, or you can mail them to me here and I will send them all to ACFEA. They do have an option for paying with credit card, but you still have to fill out a form and send it in, and they charge you 3% extra. So that aspect of it just does not make sense to me. So this is probably our best bet, is to just send me the checks and I will send those in. Oh, also one other thing that's going to be a little bit different for our graduates and for our alumni. I'm going to be communicating with you about this using my non-NMUSD email address. That's andrewball321@gmail.com. Again, you'll be getting the same information. Everything else is the same. It's just that's the way that it has to work with the district. As I've said, we've done this several times before and it's worked out just fine. Here are the list of rehearsals and the pre-tour concert. I know that there are some people that have conflicts. I know I saw both the Plums and the Hurwitzes on here. They've already talked to me about conflicts with the show. We'll just keep that conversation open. We'll make sure that we can make it work. But we're gonna have a series of rehearsals leading up and then a pre-tour concert, which is gonna be really lovely. Concert attire, for those of you guys who are alumni, if you happen to have your old Madrigal Singers attire and it still fits, awesome. Otherwise, just plan on wearing all black semi-formal attire and that you feel comfortable performing in, and that'll be totally fine as well. Let's go on to pricing. So tour cost and payment plan. So the proposed total cost for this tour is $3,900 per participating singer. That again covers airfare. It covers all the hotels. It covers many of the meals, though not all of them. And it covers transportation, covers the cost of our tour guide. There's a lot that is included within that amount. there is a payment schedule here that is recommended. That being said, if you are able to pay the full amount in a smaller number of payments, and or you'd like to pay it all up front, that is totally fine too. That actually helps us out because we've already put down about $40,000 on this tour, and that just helps us sort of even things out. I just want to be sensitive to the fact that we got started late in paying for this. And because of that, I want to make sure that you still have the opportunity to pay it over a series of months if possible. We are going to be in need of some chaperones. The biggest need that I have for chaperones right now is a chaperone that is going to be coming home to America following the end of this tour, because I know that many people, including chaperones and adults and students, are planning on extending their tour and going elsewhere in Europe following the conclusion of this tour, myself included. So if you are interested in chaperoning, there'll be a spot for you to fill that out as well. We're subsidizing the cost of chaperones because technically it's a working vacation for you. That being said, I will tell you that our students are really good students. You won't have to work that hard. But chaperones will pay a subsidized amount of $2,500 for the duration of the tour. The information is not on here specifically, but if you're a chaperone or if you're a guest, you would also like to have a single room to yourself, there is an additional charge for that, but that is an option as well, at least for the portion of the tour that ACFEA is setting up. I'll have to check with the festival and their hostel to see if that would be a possibility for them as well. If you are a non-graduating student and your family is interested in paying with credit card, that is a possibility. Normally, I don't tell you that they charge us 3% on any donations that are made with card, but 3% of a $4,000 tour payment is a significant amount if a lot of people take advantage of it. So if you do want to pay with card, I just ask that you add 3% to the amount of your tour. That way we don't get saddled with $3,000 worth of credit card fees at the end of the day. But you can scan the QR code or go to that link if you're interested in paying with credit card, and just send me the receipt once you're done so that I can see that as well. Travel insurance. With the uncertain nature of COVID, it's strongly encouraged that all participants in the tour take out travel insurance in the event that something happens leading up to the trip. Information on ACFEA's recommended travel insurance company can be found on the ensuing pages of this document. I'll talk about that in just a moment. So here's one of 3 things that I need from you on Friday. This is for current students graduating after 2022, and this is for seniors and alumni. Let me know where you're at. Regardless of whether or not you can come on tour, I would love to have this piece of paper back just so that I know. And I want you to notice that there is an option for you to, if you are really excited about your student coming on this tour, but the cost is prohibitive, please just tell me how much your family would be able to provide, and we will work hard to try and cover the remainder of it. I know that sounds like a burden, but honestly, this is why we do fundraising. This is why people donate to our program, is because they believe in the experiences that we provide for our students. This is not an experience that I want anybody to miss out on because of financial need. Traditionally, we have almost upwards of 1/3 of our students receiving some kind of financial help on these tours. Some students even receive full scholarships to the tour. So I encourage you, please, please, please do not let the financial component of this be a reason why you do not participate. For those of you guys who are alumni, I apologize, Mochi made it in here with one of her sparkly balls, and if you hear rustling noises, that's what that is. If you are an alumni coming on tour and you need assistance, just know that it is my priority to get current students on tour first, but I'll see what I can do once we're able to sort of get that the funding sort of set aside for them, to see if we have anything remaining for any alumni that are hoping to come on tour that need a scholarship. There's also a spot here if you're interested in chaperoning the tour, or if you're interested in attending as a guest. If you are attending as a guest, you are not beholden to the same schedule we are. Obviously, you have the freedom to go and explore whatever you want, come watch the concerts, and then go off and do your own thing. But this would just provide you, again, with hotel accommodations, transportation, all of that stuff that the rest of us will be enjoying as we go. Seniors and alumni, same sort of thing. Please do not let the cost be prohibitive. Just let me know what you might be able to cover. So as I mentioned, this is one thing that I need from you. The second thing, by this Friday, ideally, the second thing I would need is a deposit of some kind. We're asking a $500 deposit. If you can't pay that amount right now, just communicate with me. I'm very flexible. I want to make this work. More than anything else, I am thrilled to make this work with as many of us as possible. The last thing that I need from everybody is this thing called a travel participant profile. This is something that ACFEA puts out. This is all the information that they need. Do note that there is a spot for a passport number. If you do not have your passport yet, if you've ordered it and it's not here yet, just leave that blank and I'll collect that information from you later. That being said, if you don't have your passport, make sure you order it as soon as possible. It is the system is backed up right now, and even though we have about 6 months lead time, that is maybe only barely enough. So if you have not yet made plans to apply for your passport, do that as soon as possible. Bring in as much on this information on this page as you can, but again, that passport number, if you need to fill that out later, you can go ahead and do that. Also be very careful about how it's asking you to fill it out. For example, the name has to be all caps last name, comma, first name, comma, middle name, exactly as it appears on your passport. So double check with your passport, make sure that you've got that information. And if you have applied for if you're waiting to apply for your passport, write down what you put here so that that is ultimately what shows up on your passport, because ultimately they may result in a change fee. And that I think is largely surrounding the airplane ticket, because that airplane ticket has to match exactly what is on your passport. I have been told the cost for the single room in the hotels, which is here. I will double check that and let you guys know. I'll include that information as soon as possible. I think it's in the realm of 180 euros, which is probably about $220 ish USD. But that's what that's going to be. There's also a spot on here that asks if you want to make travel arrangements that are different than the group, and we're going to get that to just a moment. So lots of important information there that also needs to be filled out by Friday. If you are one of those people who is interested in coming on tour with us and then going your separate way and going over to France or staying in Spain for a little bit longer, there is a form here called an individual travel request. You'll see there down here that you have the group flights here. What you're going to do is you're going to cross out the ones that you don't want to take. You're going to share with ACFA what you would like to do, and they will actually book the air arrangements for you. You can see up here, ACFEA will make alternate or additional air arrangements, but they cannot make within reason. You can see the things there. If you want to arrange they do charge a $100 fee per person until 120 days before the group's departure in order to make those changes, but it'll still be, I think, cheaper to work with them than arranging your own arrangements. If you do want to make your own arrangements, I think that's possible, but they may charge an additional fee. That's something that you'll have to bring up with them directly. But that information is here. And maybe that no air we have made it. So yeah, anyway, that's all that information, if you want to extend your tour, is there. Specific questions can be made out to ACFEA, and you can see their email and their phone number up at the top here. They're the ones that know more about that than I do. This form is not due right away. You'll see that it's due as soon as possible, but no later than February 28th, if you wish to pay only the basic $100 administrative fee. So you've got some time to plan your European road trip after that, but hopefully within the next month or so, you'll have that information. Last but not least, I want to talk about travel insurance. This is a third party, but it is the one that ACFEA recommends, which I trust ACFEA's judgment on this. You would set up your travel insurance plan with this company directly. You wouldn't do it through me or through ACFEA, but you can see the extent to the coverage here. If there's cancellation, if there's emergency medical, and I'm sure that there's a lot as far as the COVID situation on the ground. If we have to cancel the trip for any reason, what have you, this is a great thing to take advantage of. And given the cost of your tour, it's only, if your child is under 34, it's only $145 to make that preparation. So I think that is, especially given the state on the ground right now. Again, my intent is to go until told absolutely that I cannot go, but we are our fingers are crossed, and I think we'll be able to get there. But it is better to be safe than sorry on a lot of these things. So that information is here as well. I have talked a whole heck of a lot. At this point, I would love to hear any questions that you might have. I will do my best to answer them if I know the answer, or tell you where you can get the answer by either contacting ACFEA or who that would go to. So any questions that you might have, go ahead and raise your hand. I'll be happy to call on you, or you can write them in the chat and I'll answer them as I see them come up.
Oh, Mr. Ball,
Yes.
if we do want to chaperone, when would we know that we are accepted?
Hopefully by early next month. I'm going to see who is interested, and then sort of put my team together. It also depends on how many students we end up coming, because I usually aim for about 1 chaperone for 10 students. So if we end up with 30, that's 3 chaperones, 40 with 4 chaperones. So I'm going to play it sort of by that. But as soon as I have the information of who's going on and who's interested in chaperoning, I'll hopefully be able to get back to you soon about that.
Okay. And so we don't need to put anything down yet because we don't know.
So there is a spot. Let me share my screen with you again. There is a spot in this form down where you're going to be filling out, where it says, I would be interested in taking this tour as a guest or as a chaperone. Don't include a deposit with that, because again, I will let you know when that would be, but do mark it down there and I will be in contact.
Okay.
Yes, Madam Taylor.
If by chance the tour has to be canceled because of COVID or something like that, do we receive the $500 deposit back, or is it put towards the next trip, or what?
So the $500 is marked as non-refundable. That is because ACFEA hits us with a pretty hefty amount that we do have to cover. We were able, if that is a financial burden for you, talk to me and we can probably work something out. I know that there were a couple of people when we had to cancel our tour to the United Kingdom that said, hey, we would really like that back, and we were able to accommodate that. But it helps us just make sure that CDM Vocal Music doesn't go bankrupt as well. But I'm hopeful that with the if you have insured your trip, I'm hopeful that you'll get the entire amount back if we do have to cancel, which is again why I think that'd be the benefit of doing the travel insurance.
Otherwise, we would get the $3,400 back, or would the tour be rescheduled, or you just refund everybody and then wait till next year?
ACFEA does allow a rescheduling for the following year if something like that is available. I have not yet made a formal decision about whether we would just reschedule for the following year. There's a good likelihood that we would, because unlike the trip to the British Isles, I think we are at the end of the beginning of this whole process rather than just dipping into it. So there is a very good chance that we would be able to make that work, but it would be a different program. You know, it would be a whole nother thing, and I would give you information about that as soon as I have it.
So just for those of us who have juniors and are facing the prospect of then they be alumni, would that just throw a complete monkey wrench into the works and it's going to just be a total disaster and we should just try really hard to believe we're going this summer?
It wouldn't be a total disaster if you ultimately pulled out of the tour rather than continuing on. That would be understandable, because going off to school, we have some alumni here, but it is, there are lots of opportunities, internships, other trips that are available at the collegiate level, which is why I'm always encourage our alumni to come back, but don't necessarily expect it. It's a thrill when they do. Personally, I am on the boat that everything is happening until it's not, and I'm not going to plan elsewise until I absolutely need to.
Sounds great. I do have a quick question. There is no connection between this trip and that particular travel insurance, correct? You're just suggesting the purchase of travel insurance, and here's one that seems reputable.
That is correct. And this is, again, the one that was recommended to me by ACFEA. I have not needed to make use of it personally up until now, though I will probably be purchasing some amount for this trip because, again, better safe than sorry. But again, I trust ACFEA. I've never had any occasion to believe that they are anything other than completely professional. They've always had an amazing product and just amazing insights into this. You are muted, Madam Taylor, but you're up again.
Okay. And this, my husband wanted me to ask, if a student were to get sick or have an accident or something like that, what would the procedure be?
I mean, we are going to be in major metropolises, so there are going to be hospitals around. We're not going into a third world country. As I mentioned earlier, the tour guide that we're going to have through ACFEA is going to be very familiar with the places that we're going. Usually they are people that live in those countries, and so they are going to know how to navigate the hospital system, transportation to get them there. They will be able to accommodate any of those things. We would then, of course, immediately notify you. And then if there's a need to fly them back early or something like that, we would figure that out on a case-by-case basis. Fortunately, that has not come up as a need yet, but I have full trust in ACFEA and their tour guide to be able to manage those sorts of events.
Type of health, international type of health insurance that we should purchase, or is it just all social?
It's all free over there.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's socialized medicine in Spain. So one of the best places in the world to have your appendix burst. It'll be great. Yes, Cece.
Hi, this looks
Hello.
great. All right, if we want to come, if Chris and Kaylin and I want to come along, but not necessarily as a guest, but we're going to be there same time, are we able to come to the performances? And
Absolutely. As long as you are not, what some people have tried to do in the past is say, hey, can my student who wants to be on tour, can we arrange their own arrangements and do that? And the answer to that is no. But since you guys would be traveling as guests with your own itinerary, putting together your own things, that is totally fine. You're welcome to just show up where you want to. You might have to pay for entrance fees or something like that. But for the concerts and things like that, I see no reason why that wouldn't be allowed.
all right, and if we want to fly at the end of the trip, not through the airlines that you're using, like say we want to use points or something and have Liv go with us and not have the group organize it, does the cost change of the program at all, or is that $3,600 the price regardless?
The cost would change. So that is something that you would work out with ACFEA directly. They would let me know that the amount that you would be expected to pay reduces by this amount, and then you would give me that much less.
Okay, all right. Will there be any restrictions on phones while the kids are there?
Nope.
Okay.
In my experience, the coverage is pretty good, and international plans are pretty reasonable these days. So I actually strongly encourage having their cell phone, because one of the easiest ways for me to connect with everybody is through the Remind app. That way I can send a text and it goes out to everybody. What's more, I would hate to send kids out into a city without any way of getting a hold of me. So I will have my phone on me at all times. So they will be encouraged to have their cell phones with them.
All right, and will you have one tour guide for the entire trip that will be traveling with you, or will it change city to city?
We will have one tour guide throughout the entire course of the trip, so that we'll form a relationship with that person. They're always wonderful people. I've enjoyed getting to know them. So we'll have that person. We'll also have a dedicated bus driver.
Oh, same bus driver the whole time?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, cool. Let's see, I think that was it. It looks like a wonderful trip.
I'm really excited for it. We had a question in the chat. What will happen if one of the kids tests positive, especially before coming back home? We'll adhere to what other criteria they have. If we have to isolate, we have to, we're going to try and do what we need to do to keep ourselves safe in that regard, masking where we need to mask, following the protocol. I will say that Spain has been doing a better job vaccinating their population than we have. They're at, I think, about 82% fully vaccinated in Spain right now. So hopefully we will see a very different situation on the ground come this this upcoming summer. There's a question of how many kids to a hotel room. I believe it's 2 people per hotel room. The European hotels are not enormous. And so I believe it is 2 people per hotel room, and each would have their own bed. I'm not sure about the hostel and the situation there. I will try to get that information for you as quickly as possible, Lauren. But during the first leg of the journey that ACFEA is organizing, they always do 2 per room. Any other questions?
Is it possible to get information about the hostel that they'll be staying in? The hostel?
Yes, I do have the location, the name of it. As I mentioned, I will be sending this out from what I looked at Google and the reviews. It looks very, very functional, but very clean, very safe. That's what everybody has been saying. And they say that the amenities are about what you would expect from a hostel, but it's all very clean. They also talk about the beautiful gardens that are going to be there. There are also large areas where we're going to be doing our workshops and things like that. And as I mentioned, we'll be staying in that space along with other choirs from around the world, which is one of the things that I'm looking forward to the most. When I've ever been on tours like this in an international festival, that's just where you make friends that live on the other side of the world, and you create those, you go and visit them, and that leads to future tours or future trips. And it's one of the most rewarding parts of these trips. Lauren asks, do you assign roommates for a hotel or can they make requests? The way that I do that is I have all the students who are coming on the tour list their top 3 choices of who they'd like to room with. They do this anonymously just in case that they don't have, if there's somebody who's like, oh, I'd like to stay with this person, but I'm not sure how they're feeling. If your student has somebody that they really want to stay with and that person wants to stay with them, just have them both be number 1. That makes my life really easy. But it also allows me to put people in rooms that I think will work without hurting anybody's feelings, and like that sense of like, oh, I was rejected by my friend because he wanted to stay with this other person, because sometimes they don't want to let people down. So if Emily has a specific person that they want that she wants to stay with, just make sure that both of them put their name as that first option, but I'll have them list their top 3 so that they'll be with somebody that they're comfortable. It won't be just like a random selection. Any other questions? The question is, while in Madrid, any chance sightseeing tour might include stopping at the Prado Museum? I'm not 100% sure. I would really like to, and so I'm going to see if I can make that a priority. We're only in Madrid for a couple days, and one of those we are going to be incredibly jet lagged. So I'm hoping that we will, but if we don't get there this time, well, you can extend the tour, go again, or it gives you a good reason to go back. Any other questions?
Will there be curfews for the kids?
Yes, there are going to be curfews just because we usually are going to get going pretty early in the morning. Curfew, I don't believe in like doing things like taping doors. I think that is a breach of trust. I like to believe that I create a sense of trust amongst my ensembles, and that when I do something as untrusting as tape their door so they don't leave it at a certain hour, it makes me feel bad, and it sort of breaks down that fabric. But there will be expectations that are set, and if people go against those expectations, there'll be some consequences. But I have never had a problem where people they'll stay up late talking, but I've never had a problem where something has happened after hours and that we've had to deal with, fortunately. As I mentioned, these are all the students that go on these trips are students that I have a personal relationship with of many years. They're students that I trust. They're students who are responsible. This is not just a random school trip that you're signing up for. These are madrigal singers, which are some of the best of the best. All right, with that, I'm going to say thank you to all of you for coming out. Just a reminder that by Friday, I would love to see at the very least that paper that shows what your commitment is going to look like, but ideally that tour participant profile and the deposit as well. I'm so excited for this. It was one of those things where like I was really, fingers were crossed, I was really hoping you'd get off the ground, and I was thrilled when the district gave us the green light to move ahead with it. So I hope that all of you guys will have a chance to take advantage of this. Again, do not let the financial component be a limiting factor. We will do our best to make it work. We've never had to turn anybody away so far because of financial needs. We're very, very lucky in that way. If you are concerned about the financial thing, we are looking for silent auction items for upcoming dessert show and silent auction. I've sent home lots of information, sent lots of emails, but that is our biggest fundraiser of the year. It's coming up on February 12th. We usually make about $10,000 on that event, and what we need are items or services or goods to auction off. So if you really want to help to cover that, if you need some financial help, you can donate something to help raise that money. That really helps offset that cost. So hopefully you can take advantage of that. You can talk to your students about more information on how to donate, or if you have any follow-up questions, do not hesitate to email me. Again, if your student is graduating or if you're an alumni, reach out at andrewball321@gmail.com. I'll write that in the chat. Otherwise, you can message me at my NMUSD email account, which is aball@nmusd.us. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have or connect you with ACFEA if you have specific questions for them. But thank you all so much. I will put this recording up in that same box that has all the paperwork if you ever need to review anything, but really look forward to this next adventure. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Mr. Ball. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you, Chloe.
You too. Bye.